And Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Friday the 3rd of April, and it's Good Friday. So let me get into the horse racing. So the football bets will be in the description and the first comment. So let me get into the horse racing. As I said, it's a good couple of cards if you like puzzle solving and competitive fields. But it's a real good puzzle because there's large fields at both Newcastle and Lingfield, and it's very tricky, to be fair. I've tried to narrow it down. I've changed my mind several times, changed it back, flipped from Lingfield to Newcastle, Newcastle to Lingfield. But I've actually found 6 selections. Sorry, actually it's 7 selections. But I'm going to have to show you another selection. I've had one selection to win, but I've placed it with Ladbrokes. I did that earlier on before I started looking at the extra place races. So I shall show you the lucky. So what I've had is I've had £1 each way singles and actually a 13 pence each way lucky 63. That's just to basically take it to just under 30 quid. I tried to get as close to 30 quid as I can, and that was what it came to, yeah. So 13 pence each way, lucky 63, and £1 each way on each selection. So I've gone for the extra place races, so let me get into it. So the first selection is Sulan in the 2:05 at Lingfield. This horse has been running up to 1.5 miles on the all-weather. It's never actually ran at Lingfield. It's got first-time cheap pieces, and I've watched a few of its runs, and I think it's crying out for this longer trip. It needs to race prominently. If he's got it held up towards the back, I am not convinced today's going to be the day. But let me be honest about this. There's an awful lot of prize money up for grabs. This is their little World Cups today. This is their Derby. This is their Guineas. There's like 77,000, 33,000, 23,000. It's a big I won't say weekend then, but it's a big Friday for those smaller trainers, and there are a lot of smaller trainers all having a go, and you can see clearly that some of them, I'm not talking about this, obviously this one's Smart Prescott, this horse, but there's an awful lot of trainers where there's been some head scratching where you think, why has that horse been campaigned over that trip or those tactics? And then all of a sudden you can see why. Maybe it's been set up for today. So yeah, the first one is Sulan. I think it's crying out for this step up in trip. It goes up from 1.5 miles to 2 miles. It needs to race, in my opinion, no worse than third. It's got Luke Morris on board. Doesn't look, well, you know what his style's like, but it can be effective. First time cheap pieces, which is basically to give it a bit of a kick up the backside, I think, really, make it concentrate. So we'll see about that one. So I've seen 11-2 and I've seen 7s. I've left it to SP because more than likely we're probably going to get a bit bigger than that, I think, or a bit bigger than the current 11-2. The next selection is very interesting. I want to talk about for an extra 30 seconds about this horse because this horse is called Shallow. It's in the 2:25 at Newcastle over 7 furlongs. This horse ran in this race last year. It came third. It took a keen hold at Newcastle and still ran a really good race. Only beaten, I don't know if it was like a length and a half into third. Being keen at Newcastle and finishing in the places, you've run well. Because it's a tough course, but that's not my angle. My angle is, first of all, Richard Spencer and Graham Cunningham, the trainer and owner, have absolutely been milking prize money in the last couple of years through these big handicaps. I do believe that this race is worth 77,000. I do believe. So it's got course form, even though it pulled hard. So it ran well in this race last year, although this race last year was at the back end of April. It was 18th of April. So this is the angle. Throughout most of the time, this season, last season, it generally runs at 6 furlong, most of the time. The only time when it seems to encounter big prize money, it steps up to 7 furlong. I think I've only ever seen it run twice or 3 times over 7 furlong. And it's always been when there's big prize money knocking around. All the rest of its runs are in, between £4,000 and £8,000 races. And they're over 6 furlong. I think that's quite interesting. Well, we're back over 7 today. even though this horse this year has been campaigned over 6. So I think it's a very interesting angle. And the fact that I do believe it's now £4 lower than it was when it came third last year. This kind of prize money, it sets them up for quite a bit, paying the fees and whatever you. So 77,000, you're prepared to spend a low few thousand in these 6 furlong races, knowing that your handicap mark is plummeting because it's not your trip, and you're getting it ready for a particular race. I think this race, don't get me wrong, there are several in this race and in these races where they've been targeted for today, but I think this was one of the best angles where the trainer and owner have been doing really well in these races. It's come third in this race in the past. Not the best tactics. Not the best in-running performance. And it's dropped down in weight, and I think it's been campaigned over the wrong distance up until there's big prize money knocking around. So Shallow is currently, I do believe, around about 7s or 15-2. The next selection is the Temps Boatman in the 240 at Lingfield. Right, this is my doubt about this one. I should get this one out of the way. So the doubt is the trip, but the Temps Boatman is a Lingfield specialist. I've gone through all the runners in this race, and there aren't many that have actually ran well at Lingfield. A lot of them have come from Wolverhampton, Chelmsford and Newcastle to come to race in this race today, and not a lot of them bring course form. This horse has got plenty of course form. It's off a decent handicap mark in my opinion. Richard Hughes is done okay in his early days. What's he doing now? What, 4 years of maybe been training? It's probably It's probably 10 years and I've probably not noticed. But what, 4 or 5 years? This horse, I think it's better at 5, but the race could fall apart because there's an awful lot of runners in this race that don't normally run at Lingfield. Unproven at Lingfield. I know the track is like standard, but there are uphill and downhill parts. There are characteristics of the course that are different to Chelmsford, Newcastle and Wolverhampton. So I think it's interesting the fact that this horse, very experienced around the course, could sneak a place, and it's currently the second outsider at 18-1. So I think that's an interesting selection, to be fair, and there's decent prize money at stake still. The next selection is Terrannian Sea in the 3 o'clock at Newcastle. I don't know whether to work out whether this horse is a bit of a monkey or, well, I don't know what the alternative is. It needs to be buried away, in my opinion, and come with a late run, and that late run needs to be once and decisive. It can't get there too soon. It needs to nab them on the line. It runs out regularly it runs over 1 mile 2. I don't think it's got the heart for that trip. It seems to travel really well, like a miler would in a 1 mile 2 race. Travels really well, but then when it comes to a battle, I just don't think it can quite sustain it. I just think this horse needs burying away, massive stroke of luck, the waves to part, and this horse comes flying through. I don't know about the draw at Newcastle. If anybody can help me with the draw, because the draw is on the inside on the straight course. We've seen them stay in the far side, which is the inside. We've also seen them for the first 2 races stay in the far side, then all of a sudden in the next race come in near side. If anybody knows how it works, just let me know, because I can't work that one out, to be fair. So I've literally got selections. I haven't even looked at the draw, to be honest. I haven't been able to, because I don't know what's favoured. So Terrannian Sea, I think it's a decent price, about 8-1, I believe. Right, this is another interesting horse, and this horse is called Metallo. It's in the 3:15 at Lingfield, over 1 mile 2. This horse was trained by Jack Shannon. I do believe it dropped a little bit in the handicap mark just before it left him. I do believe it stayed with the same owners, but now it's trained by John Butler. John Butler trained a winner for us the last time I gave a video, it's the horse that was ridden by Henry Callan. I forget what it's called. It won in the first leg of the Sunday bet. Was it what, 11-2, 7-1? Won easy, to be fair. It just had to be kept up to its work. But this horse, there's an angle here because it does want this 1 mile 2, and it had first time headgear 3 runs ago when it ran its first race for John Butler. So what happened was it ran an absolute cracker. I think it was beaten by Wild Bill by a short head. Then it ran down the field. It had a very, very awkward start. Right, okay, then horses can have them. Then in the next run, so bear in mind, this is a 1 mile 2 race. Its best run was a 1 mile 2 race for John Butler. Then runs over 7 furlongs. 3 furlongs shorter than it normally runs at. Why would it do that? Well, if you've got a horse that ran an absolute cracker on its debut for you, then had a very poor start which lost all chance, and then run it over the wrong trip, well, when it ran its absolute best on its first run for you, you know what you've got. So now what they've got is they've got a horse that it went up in the ratings and it's gone back down again now. So when it ran at 7 furlongs, which it never really had a chance in my opinion, it's too short a trip for it. It was actually dropped £1 for that run. Quite why they dropped it £1, I don't know, because if I was a handicapper, I wouldn't, because it's clear what they were doing. They just got a race into it, one that they couldn't win, got it in peak form, and now it comes to a very valuable race at Lingfield where it runs well at the track. And like I said, it ran an absolute cracker on its debut for John Butler over exact course and distance. So I think Metallo comes into this race, I think it's 12-1. It comes into this race well handicapped, ready. And I do believe, I'm not definite on this, I think Luke Morris might also be on this one. I could be wrong on that one, but take a look for yourself anyway. So the next selection is Sulan, or something like that, I don't know, however you want to say it. In the 350 at Lingfield, paying 4 places. So this is a bit of a tardy price, to be fair. It's currently 7-2. I'd like to see it get to 9-2. So this horse ran in this race last year. It was a long way behind. It was in rear, plenty to do, 2 out, but then it absolutely flew at the finish. And I don't use any other ratings apart from the ones I use on the Racing Post, just to give me an indication if the horses ran above its handicap mark. But I did look at the racer's site, and I don't know what it means, but basically it did say that it ran above, I think it was something like above the standard finishing time by 3.21 or something along them lines. I may be wrong on the figures, but basically there was a fire, and I'm not reading too much into that. All I'm saying is it was clearly a good run, and that was in this race last year. So Sulan is trained in France. It's come across for this race. It looks like their English owners comes across for this race. Marco Gianni once again takes a ride. He rode this horse last year. I wouldn't say this horse found too many traffic problems. I think what happened was it was held up towards the rear last year. It came on the inside. I just think the horse was quite brave to go through narrow gaps. I don't think it was really held up. I think it just took a lot of balls for the horse to think, right, I'll run through that narrow gap. And it did. But I'm just thinking if they can give it a bit of a better passage this time around, it will fly at the finish. I'm just hoping that it doesn't find traffic problems on this occasion. So let me go on to the next one. If there is any more, I don't think that's the lot. So 6 selections, £1 each way on each, and a 13 pence each way. Lucky 63. The football selections will be in the first comment and the description. So I wish you the very best of luck. Thanks for listening. Give me if you know where the button is, can you press hype? I don't know what it does. I can't even see it. I just keep getting these in my analytics. It just says nobody is hyped. So if you can click the hype button wherever it is, I think it's probably on your phone, I'd really appreciate it. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.